Stephanie from Learning and Lore. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today I want to just walk you through the things that we did this summer of 2018. So I started off every day with the day in Spanish and in English, and then how it should be written on their papers. So they would write their name, and then they were responsible for putting up the date on their papers. And then over here's the spelling list, and then I would list the number. This is an old list, but I would list the spelling list, and then if they had any free time and if they wanted to practice their spelling words, they were more than welcome to go ahead and do that. Then right under here I have our character trait, and we usually started the day with going over the date and what our character trait was. So this is from imom.com. And it's just an ABCs of good character, A to Z. And as you can see, we're as zealous. We approach life with energy and zest. And I would usually start off by just mentioning what the word was, asking them what they thought it was, and then reading aloud the definition, and then thinking about certain examples of what that trait was like. And the kids really enjoyed also asking Alexa what she thought the word was. So that was a lot of fun. So this was just a really light character study to do over the summer, and we didn't do this every day, but it was just fun to do and to kind of help us incorporate these traits in our daily life. So that's what we did for character. And then this is just my shopping list. So and then we have the pens over here, and then I have an ongoing bigger master list of things that I have to get, so I have that. And then we have a behavioral chart that we started over this summer. So we started off here, and then depending on how attitudes were, if there was any resistance, if there was any tantrums and things like that, they would either go up or down. But if they were tantrum or good attitude wise, they would bump up after the end of every subject. So, and then any other subjects that they did and they did really well, they would get hearts. So that's what those are up there. So this is a behavioral chart that we incorporated. And then after I would fix that, if it was still like up from the day before, I would clear that out, and then we would go over that, and I would let them know you guys are starting off on gray. And then we have spelling over here. So we would start with spelling. I have this little cubby here, and then I have a reward bin here, and then science and history. And anything that has to do with science or history would go in here. But for spelling, which was the first subject that we started, and then we would do this subject together. We would open it up, and we're using Soaring with Spelling and Vocabulary Level 1 by Tamala Davis, and I absolutely love this spelling curriculum. If you've been following me on Instagram, you saw that we switched over from Horizon to this one, and it's very similar in format, but it has less words, which was really working well for my kids. So I have Elias and Mia in the same level. And I just want to show you here. I'll show you this one. This is the one that we're going to be doing this week coming up. So it's lesson 14, and then it has a few list words, and then it gives the definition. So these could actually also count as vocabulary words. And then after we would review them, we would go ahead and take a pretest, which is on the other side. And the reason why it's bound at the top is for kids that are both left-handed and right-handed, to accommodate for that. So I really like that. And then it goes through different lessons and different exercises using the list words. And then you have about 4 days, and then on Friday, you'll have a final test. And if they test out of their pretest, I usually waive the final test, and that's something that they recommend. But if you feel like your child can use the extra practice, you can go ahead and do that. So we've been working through this slowly. I would say this is one of the things that we try to do every day, but of course there's been weeks with summer where we haven't done it. So we're going really, really smoothly with this, and they're both doing this together. Okay, so that is spelling. Next we would do science or history, and we don't do science and history every single day. So this is one of those subjects where I would ask the kids which ones they wanted to do, and we would usually place Sahara in the front, who's our dog. She's our lovely corgi. She's right over there. And she would pick the subject that she wanted to do. So this is the second volume. If you haven't seen the review video that I did for volume 1 or the unboxing video, I'm gonna go ahead and add a tag at the top of this video so you can go ahead and check that out. So in volume 2 we went over anatomy, which was a lot of fun, and volume 1 was all about zoology and animals. And again, it's just the same storybook format, and it has science dispersed throughout. And then we use this First Human Body Encyclopedia, which I felt provided just enough in-depth information to accompany the subjects that we went over. It wasn't too overly detailed, but it was just right. And they really loved the illustrations and all of the kids throughout to really bring the concepts to life. So I really loved this book. The other book that was also recommended if you were teaching an older child was the Kingfisher Science Encyclopedia. And we did use this every now and then, but not as often as the others. So I plan to hang on to this for future years. So it comes with, so I'm not going to go into too much depth on how we went over this science curriculum, but as you can see, this is the teacher's manual, and then this is their side logbook where they would do a little bit of sentence forming. I would ask questions and they would answer, and then I would tell them, you know, what to write. I would ask some questions at the end of each chapter, what their favorite part was, what their favorite part of the story was, what was their least favorite part, and so on. So this was a lot of fun because they were able to do some technical writing, which some definition writing and things like that they really don't get to do in their creative writing and in the other subjects that we do. So this was a lot of fun. So we're going to be taking a break from Sassafras Science for this coming year. And this is a subject that we did together. And we're going to be doing astronomy and another curriculum for that. So stay tuned for that video that's going to be coming out showing you what we're doing for next year. Then the next subject is history. And like I said, we don't do these every single day. I would say that we do science maybe 2 times a week, and then history 2 times at first, and then we started going towards more the 3 days a weekend because they really loved history. My son really loved the drama. He was really excited about history. So this is Story of the World, History for the Classical Child by Susan Weiss Bauer, Volume 1, Ancient Times. And we started this later on in the year, same as science. So we did this throughout the whole entire summer, and we just finished the Sassafras Science, and we're just finishing up the Story of the World. And they absolutely love this because it provided a lot of history information, but in a very storybook kind of context. So this is the activity book. They have a separate activity book that you can buy, and my kids loved all of the activities. My favorite part were the maps that we did and how colorful and how visual they are. That way you can really understand in what part of the world you are, what's going on, how things are changing, and it was just amazing. So we're right over here. We just did this today. We did Rome and Constantinople, and my kids just loved it. So in the beginning when we started it, this is our first time using Story of the World, they were kind of, they weren't so excited about it. They really didn't care too much for it, but as they started to see the story envelop, they've just loved it. So I'm really excited to continue with that. We're going to be doing medieval times next, and I will have information about level 2 in that video that I do for next year. Oh, and these are some tangrams that we did. I don't know why they're loose like this. So this is the teacher's manual, and there's extra activities in here that I didn't really do, and there's also recommendations for additional books and history readings that I also didn't really do. I did do some, but not a whole lot. So just to show you how it's set, so they have encyclopedia references. We actually have the Kingfisher Illustrated Encyclopedia, and I used that as a reference towards the beginning, but towards the end we kind of stopped using it. But if they were particularly interested in a certain area, then we would go in there and read a little bit more. So you have review questions, then you have narration exercises, so you can repeat these together, and then you have other review questions. So if you're doing a whole entire chapter, I would usually do the whole entire chapter and then go back and review all the questions, or you can divide the chapter up into 2 or 3 sittings. So that is that. And then the map work, if you're just looking at the teacher's manual, it's a little misleading because you think the way that the map work pages are set up in the activity book, you would think that that's what you're doing first, but actually hang on to those and do those at the end. So read the chapter, and then after you do the review questions or before them, then do the map work. Don't do the map work in the beginning like I did, because it's under the context that the child has already read the story. So that's something that took me a few sittings to kind of get used to. But so the map work tells you step by step what you should be circling, what you should be coloring, and things, and also asking reinforcing questions about the narrative. So that was a lot of fun. And there's also regular coloring pages and other projects like I mentioned. So this is a lot of fun, and even recipes. So I really loved it, and I felt like the teacher's manual and the activity book was 100% worth it. So you can reproduce the pages within the family. So these are the master pages, and I'm planning to resell this once I'm finished. So I just wanted to mention that if you're wondering cost-wise how that would work. So that is history. So I hope that you enjoyed that so far. So now I'm going to go into our reading. So Elias and Mia are both doing All About Reading. Mia's doing All About Reading Level 1. And I really love this curriculum. Right now, Mia is on Lesson 36. And she was doing Logic of English, and we've kind of taken a break on that. We might go back to it if we hit a point where this is getting a little too hard, and we'll probably go in there and do some review work or just hang out and do that. But right now she's in a really steady groove of Level 1, and she has been making amazing progress with it. So I'm really, really enjoying it. So you have the teacher's manual, and then you have readers. For her level, she has 3 readers. So right now she's doing Runt the Pig, and then she's going to be starting the Cobweb Cat soon. And these readers are amazing. They mimic real stories, so she's really enjoying this. And after she does a warm first reading of that, then she takes the whole book. When she's done, she takes it upstairs, and then she'll read a story to the whole family, which is nice because at that point she's gotten some fluency and some practice, and she gets used to reading in front of an audience. So that's a lot of fun. And then the student book, I went ahead and I unbound it, and what I like to do is hole punch it and then lay this flat on the table. It's a lot easier to write, to color, to mark off, and I also cut everything out ahead of time to kind of save on time, unless there's something that maybe she might like to do. I go ahead and do that, but she does cut and paste and do art in other spaces, so I just do that to save on time. And just to give you an idea of what that looks like, there's word flippers, there's fun, cute, artsy, creative activities, and some of the sheets are long, but you can break up the lessons into 1 or 2 days. So I just wanted to mention that because some of them were very long, but she does tell you throughout that you can divide it up. So to make it a little bit more interactive and more fun, after she would do a set of words, we would create a rainbow pattern and go over Roy G. Biv. We would create storm clouds. Pretty much anything goes. You can do patterns, anything to really make it more interesting. I think really helps too with memory. So so we've been doing that with this. So I really, really like it. So we'll usually spend about 20 to 30 minutes on that. And now Elias is doing Level 2 of All About Reading. And he's actually, he does find most of these lessons easy, but he's my reluctant reader. And I feel like the readers are exactly where his comfort level is when it comes to reading. So this summer he's just been reading through the stories, and he's really enjoying them because there's a lot of vivid pictures compared to the Horizons curriculum that he was using, which was more text, big blocks of text, very few pictures. So he's really loving this. But he is seeing that the stories are progressing and getting harder, and the same thing goes with him. Whenever he finishes a book, he brings it upstairs and he'll read it at bedtime to us and to his sister. So that's a lot of fun. And then I also have a bunch of readers that a friend of mine gifted me that are around this level, maybe a little higher, and because he's been having so much fun with these stories and he sees how similar they are, he's become more open to doing that reading that he wasn't doing before. So I'm really excited about his growth in reading and being more comfortable and more open to just doing more reading. So right now he is in lesson, and the sun is setting, so I'm gonna have to turn off the light. He just finished lesson 30, and he's in lesson 31. So, and there's also more of those same fun activities. So what I like to do is, oh, thank you, Mia. So the night before or after I'm done with a lesson, I'll go ahead and I'll put in the inserts that are for the next day, and it just makes it so easy. So that is that. And now let me show you his binder. His binder kind of fell apart, but yeah. So since he's doing this level first, I'm gonna probably be using a lot of the cutouts for when Mia does this level. So I actually have the book already for Mia's level since she's closer to the end, and I don't want to have to worry about ordering things in the fall. So I'll probably unbind that and start putting it into a binder for her. So this has been really nice. So we've done this all summer, and we're just going to continue to go through it and cycle through it continuously without a break, just throughout the week. So that is reading. And now I'm going to show you guys what we did. So on to math. So we're using Beast Academy this summer. We've been mostly doing it at bedtime, and I absolutely love it. It's a comic book style sort of math curriculum, and it has 2 to 3 chapters per set. So it goes from 2A to 2D, and right now they have 2A and 2B out, and we're just finishing up 2A. I'm not sure if they've come out with 2C and D, but if they haven't come out with them yet, we're just going to jump right into level 3. So this is the textbook, and it's a storybook style, and it has this really cute storyline with these monsters, and it's so much fun. If you have an independent or emergent reader, they can probably grab this and read it. Otherwise, it's a lot of fun to read at bedtime. My husband loves reading through it, and they love it. So there's also a workbook that comes with it. It's not in this vivid color style. It does have more challenging problems that they can do. So I usually leave that laying around, and if they feel like doing it, they can. But as of right now, they haven't really picked it up. So if you're interested in seeing that workbook and getting more information about how this is set up and what's included, leave me a comment below, and I'll go ahead and do a full video on it. So I'm getting ready to order 2B, so I'll probably do a combined video going over 2A and 2B. So I really love this one. And I typically, if I'm considering adding something new to our home life, I'll usually try it out over the summer. It's a really low impact way to try it out, and if come September or October I am not really caring for it, then I just kind of put it on the shelf, or I'll sell it, or I'll gift it. So that's what I usually do over the summer. So as of right now, Beast Academy is a hit, so we're gonna plan to stick with it. Now, as our main math curriculum, we were doing Singapore, and we've decided midway around January we moved along, and we changed to math lessons for living education. So if you saw my video from earlier in the year, you'll see that this is different. So math lessons for living education is a Charlotte Mason based curriculum. It is not a secular curriculum. So if you are secular, you will find mentions of Christianity and certain Christian topics that you can go ahead and omit and not go over. But if you're spiritual like we are, and if you don't mind going over those topics, I think this is a great curriculum. And I absolutely love that it has the storyline of a brother and sister, just like my kids, Charlie and Charlotte, and at each level they go over a different story that builds on the last. So it's so much fun, and my kids are really enjoying it. And the best part about it is that all of the word problems tie into that storyline somehow. So it's not just some bogus made up problem solving narrative or story, because it all ties into the overarching theme that is Charlie and Charlotte's adventures or life. So, and they are homeschoolers, so I love that it has the context of homeschooling embedded throughout, compared to other curriculums that don't have that. So just to give you a sneak peek, this is level 2, which is a 2nd grade, and this is what the story would look like. So you have the story in green, and then you have some lessons, and then you have another story. And I've had this curriculum in my mind for a few years now. I actually had the printable free version that she first had in the very beginning, but then she came out with this colorful, more polished version the last couple of years, and I decided to do away with the other black and white version and just go with this one. But during that time we were doing Singapore, and Singapore was working great, but it just stopped working for us, and it just wasn't interesting to my kids. So my kids so far are really loving this, and I can see us doing this for the next year to come, and then we'll probably evaluate and maybe stick to it or maybe do something else. So this is level 2. Level 3, which is the level that Elias is doing, has this really cool parrot, and it's a tropical theme. And in this book, Charlie and Charlotte are in Peru, and they're visiting an orphanage. And this is the table of contents, just to give you an idea of how many lessons there are. So let's see. There are 36 lessons, and then there's a review. There's manipulatives at the back, and there's a answer key at the back too. So that is really helpful. It doesn't come with any actual manipulatives, and it's about $27 to purchase each book. And the books don't come in this 3-ring binder. I unbind most of my books, and I have them in this way. That way I can put them out on the table, and it's easier to write and to do the activities. And I also put in extra things that I supplement with. So I also print things off from Easy Peasy Online Homeschool. I also print off printables from various websites, Teachers Pay Teachers, or wherever that I can find something that's a tool that can probably help my kids. I print it out, and I just add it right in to where it makes sense in the curriculum. So my son really likes this curriculum for the same reason as my daughter, because of the story, and I see us sticking with it. So I already have the next level up, and I'll probably include that in the next video that I do. Alright, so that's math. Now I just want to go over, okay, so we've also been doing some grammar. Alright, and this is the grammar that my daughter's been doing. This is First Language Lessons for the Well-Trained Mind Level 2. We've only been doing this maybe once or twice a week. And it's very gentle. It's just going over what a verb is, a predicate, very simple terms. But what I really love about this specific manual is the poems. So we've been doing a lot of recitation and poetry, memory work, and things like that. And there's a really long poem, let's see if I can find it, that goes over all of the months of the year. And there's even some picture study in here too. So for instance, The Wind by Robert Louis Stevenson, and the very long poem that goes over all of the months, and I can't find it. Let's see. No, I can't find it. Oh, The Year by Sarah Coleridge, adapted by Sarah Buffington. So January brings the snow, helps the skis and sleds to go. February brings the rain, thaws the frozen lake again. So for July, we did the copy work for the July snippet, and we did the same thing for August, and we're going to probably be doing a snippet of each as copy work for the whole entire year. And Elias has also been joining in for this because he didn't do this last year. So I really love the grammar lessons, the very gentle language and grammar lessons from that. Elias has been doing language lessons for the Well-Trained Mind, Level 3. So this is a classical curriculum. So we're eclectic, so we borrow from everything. So we like Charlotte Mason, we like classical, and we also like some unschooling things. So we don't really limit ourselves to anything. So, but I really want to mention that my son is reluctant in a lot of things, but he has absolutely loved this grammar curriculum. I mean, I'm talking about he's requested it. When he hasn't wanted to do anything else, he's like, Mom, can we do some of the grammar? Which has completely blown me away. And the grammar here is diagramming sentences, but the exercises are so gentle, and they're so step by step and very clear, and I think that's what he really likes. So right now he's on lesson 50, and we took a break for about a month or two. So he's been doing this like lately, maybe once, honestly once a week, but the lessons are so much fun, and he just likes it. So I wanted to mention that. So we'll probably finish the other half this year into next year, because this is pretty advanced grammar, your diagramming sentences, which is something that most people don't do, but I find a huge value to, because he's really understanding how sentences are built and what's a good sentence versus a not so great sentence. And for college, I think one of the things that really blew me away when I was in college was how little I knew about grammar and how important it was when it came to English classes and doing essays and things like that. So that's why we're big believers in grammar over here. So that's the textbook. This is the workbook, and this is what it looks like. It's very simple, and I feel like it's deceptively simple. It looks complicated, but it's really not. And I'm even learning a lot about grammar that I honestly had huge gaps in. So that is that. And then the other thing that he's doing, Mia is doing My Father's World second, a U.S. survey that she did from this year, and she's finishing up the states over the summer. And while she's doing that, he likes to go into this these drawing workbooks. This is I Can Draw, Learn to Draw Land and Sea Animals Step by Step. And I got this at Hobby Lobby for about $7. And it's just a simple, it has summer themes, octopus, seashells, and he'll just read this and he'll learn how to draw these different things in his art notebook. Lamb, what else is in here? There's a crane, there's a really pretty heron, and he's just really enjoyed doing that. And I'll show you what that looks like. So sometimes he'll just do a black and white, and then other times he'll add in a little bit more color and more vividness. So that's what he's been doing while Mia's working on this upcoming stuff. So for My Father's World, second grade, it's a survey of the United States, and it comes with this blank map. And Elias did this last year. So right now, she just did Arizona, and she has about 4 more states to go. So we've been going very gently through this. So tomorrow she's doing Alaska. This is what it looks like. It comes with this little card that shows what the bird is, what the flower is, and then she'll go in here and she'll write what the capital is. There's a sticker sheet with, here's a sticker sheet with the state flag, and she'll put that up here. And then I got this from the Target dollar spot a couple years ago, and I've hung on to it, and then I cut them up, and it has Alaska, and she copies this and then she writes that. And then she'll usually do this first, that way she sees what the flag looks like, and it really helps prime her in being able to find the flag in this big sea of flags. In the beginning it was very hard to see where the flag was. I mean, there it does have the name, but I just found it to be much easier to be able to see the flag and then being able to find it. So that is that. And on the back there's information. I'll usually read some of this, but it's so much information. We're going to hang on to these sheets because we're going to be touching upon U.S. history again. So I'll usually either read all of it if there's a lot of interesting information, or I'll pick and choose what I think is relevant. So that's how I've been doing that. And then these are free printables that I got from makinglearningfun.com, and it's a dot to dot of the state, just so she gets the idea of what the state looks like geographically, and she's tracing it while also practicing numbers. So that is that. And let's see. Okay. And then let me just show you how I store all of the sheets. So Adventures in U.S. History by My Father's Worlds, and I just store everything into this 3-ring binder. I have all of the little sheets here, any additional stuff that we do there, and this is, for instance, New York. So here you have Albany, Statue of Liberty, and so on. And I just put it in chronological order. So this is going to be a little keepsake that she gets at the end of all of the states, and we're going to hang on to this because we're going to be covering the states again when we get to that section in Story of the World. And then I also use this book, this bird's book, to just add a little bit more information about each state bird. And it goes over what the scientific name is, some of their details, their stats, and when they became the state bird, and a little bit more information about it. So this was just the just right information about birds, I feel, for this age. Then I also used the United States cookbook, and we did do some of the recipes from here, but what I really loved about it was that it went over some of the fun food facts and some of the common foods that are popular in that area. So it was a lot of fun to read this and then to choose which recipe we wanted to do. And I'm also going to hang on to this book because we'll probably be doing this again once we hit United States history in the future. Now this is a supplement that I added. This didn't come, these two things, these 3 books didn't come with my father's world, the curriculum, but I added it in because I thought it was great. So to add in a little bit of logic and problem solving, I purchased this Maze Craze United States book, and as you can see, it has some little factoids around it, and then she was able to practice her mazes, which she's gotten great at, and she would go to the capital. So that is that. And then lastly, for writing, she mostly did copy work, which is very CM or Charlotte Mason. She mostly did copy work this year to get her used to what rich sentences look like, what the structure of the sentence is. We also went over the parts of a paragraph, topic sentence, conclusion sentence, adding detail in a paragraph, and so forth. So we used mostly Draw Right Now. Let me show you the cover. Draw Right Now. And this is book 5 by Marie Haplitzel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This is Draw Right Now, and I used about 3 or 4 of the books. And in one of the homeschool groups that I'm in for my father's world, there's actually a list that shows which pages go with which parts of history as you hit them. So I found that very useful. And pretty much, so this is Alaska. This is what she's going to be doing tomorrow. And it has 3 or 4 sentences. To start, she would do 1 sentence, and then I added on slowly more. Now she's comfortable doing 3 or 4. And it also teaches you how to draw something. So you're incorporating art and penmanship or copy work. And then I used this notebook. So this is just an example of what that looks like. So this is a drawing, and this is her penmanship. So that's what that looks like. All right, and then Elias just, so if you saw my last video going over what we were doing last year, we did stick with Draw Right Now, Draw Then Write by Evan Moore. It was a success. He absolutely loved it. Afterwards, what I did was I purchased this book, which I just added and I tacked onto the back. What is it called? Sorry guys, let me just turn to the page. Paragraph writing, grades 2 to 4, right here. So I added it right onto it, and we've been doing finding the topic sentence, writing supporting details and things like that over the summer. And it's a fairly short book, but we're taking our time with it, and my son does have a little bit, I suspect, of dysgraphia, or just he's just a boy and just does not like to write yet. He really likes to color, and he does a lot of things that are really reinforcing his fine motor skills in other areas, but writing is just not something that he's very excited about right now. But these exercises are so comfortable, and we do a lot of collaborative sort of things where he'll write a sentence, I'll write a sentence, and other things like that to really help him move along and make progress. We really praise progress versus perfection, or even anything else. Just seeing growth in an area is really what we're going for. So I really love that he is getting some writing information. He's really seeing writing as a fun thing with these fun topics. We also do a lot of just free writing and expository writing and journaling and list making and other kinds of writing things in our daily life, which was inspired by Brave Writers. So I do follow some of the philosophies that Julie mentions. We haven't done a whole full year course yet, but I really love the tips and the tricks that she's provided. But I'm using my own tools or things that I find that might appeal to my kids, if that makes sense. So I love that this the first book really went over fun stuff, which is building on the stuff that he likes, which is drawing and animals. And now this other book is adding a little bit more technical stuff, like what's a descriptive paragraph, what's a topic sentence, and other things that are key to understanding the kinds of writing. And then after this, I'm not really sure what we're gonna do. I might do one of the Brave Writer year-long courses, or I might just encourage him to just keep a seasonal journal, and then document his life and do more of that sort of thing. So we'll see. Right now we're just kind of playing it by ear. We're going to finish that off and then see intuitively where things take us. So just to go over some of the so Mia, so we are doing a summer reading list that is by Mensa, the grades 1 through 3, and they've absolutely loved all of the book selections from that list. They also have a grades 4 to 6 summer list that we plan to do next year, maybe over the span of 2 summers. But before we started that list, Mia finished reading On the Banks of Plum Creek by Laura Ingalls Wilder, and she also finished Mountain Born by Elizabeth Yates, and some of the other books that she read this year. Let me just grab them because they're just so fantastic, and they're all recommended by My Father's World and came as part of that curriculum. She read The Courage of Sarah Noble by Alice Dalglish, Farmer Boy by Laura Ingalls Wilder, and this was actually her favorite book. When I asked her, out of all the literature books that we read, which was your favorite? And she said it was Farmer Boy. And I loved every single one of these. They were just so amazing. Sarah Witcher's Story by Elizabeth Yates. This one was really, I got so emotional with this one because she gets lost and there's a bear. I mean, it was great. So that was that. And then as part of My Father's World, there is a manual. It's somewhere. But if you guys are interested in seeing what My Father's World second grade looks like, I'll probably do another video. Just leave me a comment and I'll do it for you guys. It also came with American Pioneers and Patriots by Carolyn D. Emerson. I absolutely loved all of these stories. So these are stories that talk about children and families out west, and it gives a lot of facts about what life was like. And overall, these are fiction stories that talk about westward expansion, and they just add that rich context and storyline that really makes history come alive. So I really enjoyed this book. And yes, and I think that's it. That is our summer. That's mostly what we've been doing this summer. I will do another video just going over all of our summer books from our summer reading list. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Please hit that bell button. That way you get notifications when I submit another video. And I hope that you're having an amazing rest of summer, and I will see you guys soon.